Something big is quietly brewing in your life right now, Cancer. And by the end of this video, you will be able to recognize the 10 small, easy-to-miss signs that confirm a major change is already in motion beneath the surface. Not all change arrives with thunder. Not all transformation announces itself in big dramatic moments that you can point to and say, that is when everything shifted. In fact, for most people, and especially for deeply intuitive signs like Cancer, the biggest changes begin in the smallest places. A feeling you cannot quite name. A habit that is slowly losing its hold. A thought you would never have had a year ago that now feels obvious. A moment of quiet courage where you do something you would previously have talked yourself out of. These are the seeds of massive change. They look small. They feel almost ordinary when they are happening. But looking back weeks or months from now, you will recognize them as the beginning of something that altered the direction of your life. The question is not whether these signs are already present in your life, they are. The question is whether you can see them clearly enough to trust what they are telling you. By the end of this video, you will. Stay close. All 10 of these signs belong to you right now. Sign 1. The first small sign that big change is brewing for Cancer is that something you previously accepted without question has started to feel like a question. It might be something in your daily routine, a habit, a commitment, a recurring way of spending your time that has simply been part of the landscape of your life for so long that you stop noticing whether it actually serves you. And now, quietly, you are noticing. Not with anger or urgency, but with a gentle, persistent wondering. A small but undeniable curiosity about whether this particular thing still belongs in your life, and what might be possible if it did not. This kind of questioning is deceptively powerful. It does not look like action. It does not feel like a decision. It is simply a change in the quality of attention you are bringing to something that has long been invisible to your awareness. But this shift in attention is the first movement of real change, because you cannot choose differently about something you are still unconsciously accepting. The moment you begin to see it, you begin to have a choice about it. And once the choice exists, everything changes. For Cancer, this questioning often begins in the body before it reaches the mind. There is a subtle resistance to something, a slight reluctance, a very quiet but persistent sense that something is not quite right. You might dismiss it at first, this is just a bad day, this is just stress, this is nothing important. But if you notice it returning, if it keeps arriving with that same quiet insistence, that is not nothing. That is something. That is the first small sign that your inner self is asking for a change that your outer life has not yet caught up with. The key is not to rush this sign into action before it is ready. Let the questioning deepen. Let the clarity develop on its own schedule. The questions you are beginning to ask right now, even the ones that feel almost too tentative to name, are doing important work beneath the surface. And from those questions, in their own time, significant changes will grow. Sign 2. The second small sign that big change is brewing for Cancer is that you are sleeping differently. And your dream life in particular has become more vivid, more emotionally charged, or more symbolic than it has been in a long time. Sleep and dreams carry enormous information for Cancer, a sign that is deeply attuned to the interior and the unconscious. When the inner life is active, when something significant is shifting or preparing to shift, the dreaming mind often picks it up first, before the conscious mind has language for it. You may be waking up from dreams that feel more real than usual, that leave a strong emotional residue that stays with you through the morning. You may be dreaming about themes or symbols that repeat across several nights, water perhaps, which is deeply associated with Cancer's nature, or images of doors, of travel, of finding something lost, of leaving something behind. You may be having dreams about people you have not thought about in years, or about places that feel significant without a clear explanation of why. All of this is the language of the inner life processing change. The dreaming mind works symbolically, not literally, and it is always reaching toward the truth of things rather than the surface appearance. When it becomes this active, this vivid, this emotionally present, something significant is in motion. Something in your deep self is working hard at something, even while your conscious mind is resting. You do not need to analyze every dream in detail or arrive at precise interpretations. Simply pay attention to the overall emotional tone. What is the dreaming mind reaching toward? What themes keep returning? Is there a feeling of possibility, of release, of urgency, of longing that runs through the dreams even when the specific images are different? That emotional thread is carrying information. And if you allow yourself to sit quietly with it in the morning, Before the day begins and the noise rushes in, it will often tell you something true about what is stirring in your life right now. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Sign 3. The third small sign that big change is brewing is that your relationship with certain people in your life is quietly shifting. Not dramatically, not through any particular incident or conversation, but in the way you feel when you are around them. Some connections that used to feel central are beginning to feel peripheral. The energy that once flowed naturally between you now requires more effort to maintain. The topics you used to enjoy talking about together no longer carry the same charge. You find yourself sitting in familiar company and feeling, without quite understanding why, a gentle but real sense of distance. This is not a failure. It is not a betrayal. It is one of the most honest signs of personal growth there is. Because you are not the same person you were when these connections were formed, or when they last felt truly aligned. You have been changing quietly, incrementally, but genuinely. And as you change, the connections that are not changing in the same direction begin to feel the gap, even if neither of you names it explicitly. For Cancer, this can be one of the most emotionally complex signs of brewing change, because you are so deeply loyal, so attached to the people you love, so reluctant to accept that some connections belong to a chapter of your life that is ending. But the discomfort you feel in these relationships is not telling you to abandon the people who matter to you. It is telling you something more nuanced, that you are growing, and that the way you show up in these relationships needs to grow too. Sometimes that means an honest conversation. Sometimes it means allowing the connection to find a new level. And sometimes, gently and without drama, it means accepting that some relationships were meant for a different season. Sign 4. The fourth small sign of brewing big change is that you have been craving something you cannot fully name. A longing that does not attach neatly to any particular thing or circumstance, but that hovers in the background of your days with a quiet persistence. You might notice it most in moments of stillness, early in the morning before the day begins, or late in the evening when the noise has finally quieted. A yearning for something more, something different, something that the current shape of your life is not quite delivering. This nameless longing is not dissatisfaction for its own sake. It is not depression or ingratitude. It is something more purposeful than that. It is your soul's way of signaling that there is more available to you than what you currently have, and that you are ready finally to reach for it. The longing always arrives before the direction becomes clear. It is the first stirring of a tide that, once it gains momentum, will carry you somewhere significantly new. For Cancer, these deep longings are especially reliable as signals of coming change, because you feel them not as vague restlessness, but as something genuine and interior. There is a quality to this specific feeling, a combination of ache and hope, of reaching and not yet knowing what you are reaching for, that is distinctly different from ordinary dissatisfaction or passing mood. When you feel it, you know it. And if you have been feeling it lately, know that it is not an accident. It is a sign. Something new is on its way, and your soul is already leaning toward it, long before your mind has caught up. Sign 5. The fifth small sign that big change is brewing for Cancer is that you are beginning to reach for information, ideas, or perspectives you would not have sought out before. You find yourself reading something different, listening to a conversation or a voice that is new to your inner circle, looking into a subject that used to feel outside your world or beyond your concern. There is a quiet but genuine opening happening in the way you engage with ideas, a widening of the mental field, an increased curiosity about things that were previously outside your attention. This intellectual and perceptual opening is one of the most reliable early signs of personal transformation, because it reflects the way the inner self begins to prepare for change. Before the circumstances of a life shift outwardly, the inner orientation has to shift first. The new information, the new perspective, the new idea that you are suddenly drawn to, these are not coincidences. They are part of the preparation. They are arriving in your awareness precisely because they carry something you are about to need. Trust this curiosity, Cancer. Follow the thread of what is catching your interest, even if it seems unrelated to your current life or unexplainable by your current circumstances. The things you are being drawn toward right now are pointing you toward where you are going. They are giving you, in advance, some of the tools and understanding you will need for the change that is already in motion. The curious mind is always one step ahead of the life catching up with it. Your curiosity right now is a compass. Let it lead you. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Sign 6. The sixth small sign that big change is brewing is that your sense of self, who you are, what matters to you, what you believe about your own worth and your own capacity, is quietly but unmistakably strengthening. It may not feel dramatic from the inside because internal shifts rarely do while they are happening. But if you look carefully at how you respond to things that used to shake you more deeply, you may notice a subtle difference. A bit more steadiness, a slightly quicker recovery, a small but real resilience that was not as available to you before. This quiet strengthening of the inner self is often the thing that makes big outer change possible. Because the changes that last, the ones that actually transform the shape and quality of a life, require a stable inner foundation. They require a sense of self that is grounded enough to handle uncertainty, flexible enough to move through transition, and confident enough to make choices that reflect genuine values rather than old fears or inherited expectations. You are building that foundation right now, Cancer. Maybe you have been building it for months or even years through the difficulties you have moved through the choices you have made even when they were hard, through the quiet, persistent practice of showing up for your own life even on the days when it was easier not to. And now the foundation is strong enough that the change it has been preparing to support is ready to begin. The strengthening of the inner self is always the sign that the outer life is about to shift. Sign 7. The seventh small sign is that you are beginning to say no to things more naturally. Not dramatically, not with conflict or confrontation, but with a quiet steadiness that feels different from the way refusal used to feel. In the past, saying no carried weight, guilt, anxiety, fear of disappointing someone, worry about what they would think or feel. Every no was a struggle, even when it was clearly the right answer. But lately, something has shifted. The no that used to feel like a battle is beginning to feel, in some situations, like the simple and obvious truth. Like something that does not need an elaborate explanation or a lengthy apology, but simply the gentle clarity of no, that is not for me right now. This shift in your relationship with no is deeply significant, Cancer. It means that your sense of your own needs, your own limits, and your own right to set boundaries has matured. It means that you are beginning to trust your own instincts about what belongs in your life and what does not. And it means that the energy you used to spend on things, situations, and obligations that were not truly aligned with who you are is becoming available for the things that are. When the no's become easier, the yes become more meaningful. When you stop saying yes to everything out of fear or habit or obligation, the yes you give to the things that genuinely matter carries a completely different weight. It is a yes from your full self, freely given, aligned with your truth. This is one of the most beautiful and quietly powerful signs of a life in the process of changing for the better. Sign 8. The eighth small sign that big change is brewing for Cancer is that you are developing a different relationship with uncertainty. Uncertainty has historically been one of Cancer's most challenging emotional territories. You are a sign that loves the feeling of security, of knowing, of having a clear picture of what is ahead. When things are unknown, when the future is undefined, when outcomes cannot be guaranteed, when you are standing in the middle of something and cannot see the other side, it can produce a particular kind of anxiety that goes deep. But lately, if you pay close attention, something in that familiar response to uncertainty is shifting. There are moments, perhaps just moments, but real ones, where the unknown feels not only frightening but also open, where the undefined future carries not only risk but also possibility, where standing in the middle of something unclear feels not only scary but also, in some quiet corner of you, alive. This is not about eliminating your natural desire for security and clarity. It is about the inner self expanding its capacity to hold both, to want the security and to also, increasingly, trust that what it cannot yet see clearly is nonetheless moving towards something good. This expanded tolerance for uncertainty is one of the clearest signs that a major change is on its way, because significant change always requires the willingness to move before you can see the full path. And the fact that this willingness is growing in you tells you something important. The change that is brewing is one you are genuinely ready for, even if you do not feel ready yet. Sign 9. The ninth small sign of brewing big change is that you have recently experienced at least one moment of unexpected clarity. A moment where something that had been confused or murky for a long time suddenly became clear. It may have lasted only a few minutes. It may have arrived in an unlikely place during a walk, in the shower, in the middle of a conversation about something else entirely. But for those few minutes, you saw something about your life, your situation, your path forward with an unusual degree of sharpness and certainty. These moments of unexpected clarity are among the most significant signs of change, because they represent the inner self breaking through the surface of ordinary consciousness to deliver a message that could not arrive through the usual channels of worry and analysis. The clarity that comes in these moments is of a different quality than the clarity that comes from thinking hard about something. It is quieter, more whole, more settled. It arrives fully formed rather than constructed piece by piece. And it carries a feeling of recognition, as though it is something you already knew but had not yet been able to see directly. What was the clarity about, Cancer? Even if it came and went, even if you are not entirely sure what to do with it yet, it arrived for a reason. It is showing you something real about where you are going and what the change that is brewing is moving you toward. Hold on to it. Return to it in quiet moments. Let it be a point of orientation even when the rest of the picture is still developing. Moments of clarity are the soul's way of giving you glimpses of the destination before the journey is complete. Sign 10. The 10th and final small sign that big change is brewing for Cancer is the most personal and the most difficult to describe. But you will know it when you hear it. It is the feeling, arriving with increasing frequency and increasing steadiness, that you are becoming who you were always meant to be. Not in a grandiose, dramatic way. Not in a way that involves comparison to others or performance for anyone's eyes. But in the quiet, private, deeply felt sense that the person you are today is more genuinely you than the person you were a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10. This feeling of becoming more yourself, of growing into something that was always true but not always accessible, is the deepest and most trustworthy sign of all. It is the sign that the change brewing in your life is not just external, not just about circumstances changing, situations resolving, or conditions improving, but about something fundamental and interior finally being given room to fully emerge. You have spent a great deal of your life tending to others, shaping yourself around the needs and expectations of the people and situations around you. You have been generous and loyal and deeply giving, and those qualities will not change in the new chapter. They are part of who you genuinely are. But what will change, and what is already beginning to change, is the balance, the space you give to yourself, the honesty with which you acknowledge your own needs, the courage with which you allow yourself to want what you want and to move toward it, the permission you give yourself to be fully, wholly, without apology yourself. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are. These 10 signs are already present in your life, Cancer. Some of them may have been building quietly for months. Others may have arrived only recently. But together they are telling a clear and consistent story. The story of a life on the edge of a significant shift, of a soul preparing to step into something larger, truer, and more fully aligned with who it has always been in its deepest and most genuine nature. Trust what is stirring. The change that is brewing is not something to fear. It is something to welcome. It is what you have been growing toward, one small sign at a time.